past few days, there's been a significant incident at the Kuje Correctional Center that has shocked many. The facility, known for housing some of Nigeria's high-profile prisoners, has recently made headlines due to the sudden and mysterious death of an awaiting trial inmate named Bitrus. He was in the same clinic with Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimakor, who had collapsed due to health complications. The connection between the two men, both under the care of the same medical facility, has raised numerous questions. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates and stories like this. Now, it's not every day that you hear about an inmate passing away on such mysterious circumstances. Bitrus was reportedly being treated for an undisclosed medical condition when tragedy struck. The bigger question here, though, is how this happened and why it's raised suspicions across the country. It's come to light that Bitrus was actually placed in the same medical unit as Ejimakor, the well-known human rights lawyer who had collapsed while in detention. Ejimakor, who was arrested during a protest demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, has been under severe health distress, which has led many to wonder about the conditions at the prison. Why would two people with very different backgrounds and health statuses end up in the same medical ward? Was it simply a coincidence, or is there more to the story? As it stands, there are reports claiming that the cause of Bitrus's death remains unclear, which only adds to the mystery. But before we jump to any conclusions, we need to step back and consider the bigger picture. The Kuje Correctional Center, where both of these individuals were detained, has faced its fair share of controversies over the years. The facility has often been criticized for overcrowding, poor living conditions, and inadequate medical care. In this case, it appears that the prison may have failed to provide adequate medical attention, both to Bitrus and to Ejimakor, who required immediate care after collapsing in the facility. This isn't just about one inmate's death, but about the broader issues within Nigeria's correctional facilities. This story has sparked outrage, particularly among those who believe that inmates, especially those like Ejimakor, who is a lawyer and an advocate for human rights, should be treated with the same dignity and respect as anyone else. And it's not just about Ejimakor. The people who are advocating for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, who is still being held despite calls for his release, have also pointed out the poor conditions that many of the detainees are forced to live in. For them, this death highlights a much larger issue within the justice system, an issue of neglect and a lack of proper care for people who are not even yet convicted of any crime. But what makes this particular situation even more troubling is the fact that Bitrus and Ejimakor were reportedly in the same clinic. There's a very interesting connection here that shouldn't be overlooked. Both of these men, in some form, were involved in high-profile cases that caught the attention of the media. Aloy Ejimakor, for example, was known for his involvement in Nnamdi Kanu's legal battles. The idea that someone who was a lawyer for a controversial figure like Nnamdi Kanu would share a medical unit with an awaiting trial inmate, especially one who suddenly died, is enough to raise eyebrows. The circumstances seem far too coincidental, and it's no surprise that the public has demanded answers. The public has every right to ask why this death occurred, how it happened, and what role, if any, the prison system played in it. The incident has left many people wondering if this was an isolated case or if there's a larger issue at play here. With Nigeria's prison system under constant scrutiny, it's not hard to see why the public has jumped to conclusions. The question on everyone's mind is whether the authorities will investigate this thoroughly or if it will just be swept under the rug. But let's face it, it's hard to ignore when a person dies under mysterious circumstances, especially in a facility that's already been criticized for its poor treatment of inmates. For many, the tragic death of Bitrus is just another example of how the Nigerian prison system fails its detainees. Now let's take a step back and think about the broader implications of this incident. What does this say about the state of justice in Nigeria? Does it reflect a system that's focused on rehabilitation and fairness? Or does it show that Nigeria's prisons are more concerned with punishment than they are with actually improving the lives of those who find themselves behind bars?
These are questions that need answers, but it's not just about the justice system. So this incident also highlights the issues surrounding prison healthcare in Nigeria.
Bitrus's death could have been avoided if proper medical attention had been provided to him in a timely manner. If Ejimakor's health had been managed better, perhaps both men would have had a chance to recover. This brings up a critical issue. When people are detained, they should not only be guaranteed a fair trial, but also access to adequate health care. If prisons can't provide that basic level of care, what does that say about the country's commitment to upholding the rights of its citizens? This situation is more than just a death in custody. It's a reflection of how Nigeria's justice system treats its people, especially those who are incarcerated. But let's not just talk about the problems. It's time we started thinking about solutions. If we want to see real change, it's important that Nigerians take a stand. We need more oversight, more transparency, and more accountability when it comes to our prison system. We need to make sure that our justice system is one that values the lives and well-being of everyone, regardless of their status or background. So, looking deeper into the broader implications of this situation, we see that this isn't just about one inmate's untimely death. It's a reflection of a much larger issue within the Nigerian justice system. Prisoners are supposed to be held accountable for their actions, yes, but they are also human beings, and as such, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Unfortunately, what we are seeing in Kuje Correctional Center is a systemic failure on multiple levels, whether it's the lack of proper medical care, the overcrowding, or the inadequate living conditions. It's clear that things aren't being done the way they should. When we take a step back and examine the situation from a legal perspective, it becomes evident that this case is about more than just a death in custody. It highlights the broader issue of human rights in Nigeria's correctional facilities. Inmates like Bitrus and Ejimakor aren't just names in a headline. They are people who have rights, and those rights include access to healthcare, fair treatment, and the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. But what happens when a system that's supposed to serve and protect fails to do so? What happens when those in positions of power overlook the very people they're meant to serve? The death of Bitrus raises these questions and more. And it's not just about the lack of accountability or transparency. It's also about how those in power often choose to ignore the pleas for help. This is something the public can no longer turn a blind eye to. So, what can be done to change things? For one, there needs to be greater accountability in our prison system. There needs to be a comprehensive review of how inmates are treated, how medical care is provided, and whether the conditions meet the minimum standards of human dignity. The Nigerian government must take a stand and ensure that no one, regardless of their legal status, is treated as less than human. The families of those who have been affected by these failures deserve answers, and those responsible for neglecting the rights of these detainees should be held accountable. But accountability doesn't just rest with the government. We, as citizens, also have a role to play in pushing for reforms. By speaking out, raising awareness, and holding those in power accountable, we can help push for change. The power of public opinion should never be underestimated. When people unite for a cause, whether it's calling for justice or demanding better conditions, change can happen. The death of Bitrus has left many people in shock, but it also offers an opportunity to reflect on how much more work needs to be done to create a justice system that is truly just. And while we may never fully understand what happened in this particular case, we can learn from it and push for a system that treats all people with fairness, compassion, and respect. As we reflect on this tragic incident, it's important to think about what can be done to prevent something like this from happening again. We need more pressure on the government to reform the prison system, ensure better healthcare for detainees, and guarantee that no one is treated as less than human, regardless of their situation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Do you believe there's more to this story than what we've been told? How do you think we can improve the conditions within our prisons to make sure incidents like this don't happen again? Make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated on this and other important news stories. Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.